Hello, y'all. It's me again, Ashley over here. Just coming on today. I know today's Thursday, but this has to do with what took place yesterday for me. Like I said, whatever happens to me, I think happens with the collective to a certain degree, and or how influential certain older reverberations may be bleeding through at this time, or at least got me thinking. So, what I'm talking about is like yesterday, for those of us that are, follow any Christian traditions or know anything about Easter, we all have heard the stories, obviously, of the tribulation of Jesus as he reaches his time through Easter. And yesterday represented the time where Judas Iscariot actually ends up finally, the 3 times he denies Jesus, and the 3rd time is when he gets, taken away finally because of Judas's deception. Jesus, being fully aware of that, forgives him right there on the spot. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Because even in his, ascension to the cross, he still forgave right on the spot for any ill wills or mistreatment or, what did they call it? I guess I wouldn't say it is sins, but I mean, like, in a sense, you're sinning against your friend, you're sinning against who you love. So there's that, but there's another word in Our Father. Deliver us from, no, what is that? Transgressions, I think it is. Sorry, guys, I just went off on a little tangent there. But that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Because for myself, as some of you already may follow my life and what I've been going through, at least with my past, I've never been explicit explaining every finer detail about it. But I think yesterday, Wednesday, was the precursor for things to come for me. And as most of you may know, like, I left my partner. He found another person. The last we had left off, he had said he was going to put a restraining order on me. And then what happened a week later was he posted online that he's in love with said third party, broadcasted it. And then also I still haven't heard anything from the sister. But yesterday, after finding out that he had posted that, like, it was devastating. I'm not going to lie. Like, who wants to hear that after being with somebody for all that time? But in a way, I was guided by Spirit, by God. I knew that something was going to approach because of what I wanted to talk to guys again today about Dharma and Karma. The reason why I knew something was coming was just because of the maltreatment and everything. And I kind of want to break this down for those of you that are, wondering how you can increase your dharma and or repel things to create karma. Or you're not per se creating the karma. Actually, it's the other person. However, using techniques that will turn their karma into dharma for you. So I hope that that's very useful. So, like I said, because of the mistreatment that I had suffered with this man, I knew that certain things were going to come his way. So I'll give you some examples of what I mean. When he left me, right, he wanted me to be in poverty. I'm writing what it is. He wanted me to be in poverty. Maybe I'll turn it that way. Okay. He wanted me to be alone. He wanted me to be segregated. And he wanted me to be alone, segregated, feel like I'm crazy, no friends. Oh, he also robbed me. So he wanted me to really be in poverty. And we'll go back to poverty a bunch of times because he did. He lied, cheated, and stole from me. So there's a whole list of different things, but I'm saying what he wanted for me. Okay? Not what he did to me, what he wanted for me. Okay? So when he was leaving me stranded, he knew that these things would happen, or at least he had wanted those things to happen. So what ends up happening when somebody wishes like an ill will, because these would be considered like ill wills, wanting somebody to be poverty, alone, segregated, crazy, no friends, isolated, that is ill will. Okay. When you have ill will towards somebody, you end up, or at least, especially in the sense, because all eyes are on everybody at all times through God, right? And God is the most masterful judge there is. I mean, there's other judges, there's other angels that judge, there's other alien races that judge, help in judgment. But ill will most definitely have, I don't know if it lights you up a different way. I don't know if they can, like, if they can kind of weed us out easier and faster, because ill will may give a certain scent, a certain light. I'm not sure. But what happens is that when you try to isolate somebody and you use something like I've been trying to teach before with transmutation. So when he tried to put me in poverty, when he tried to make me feel alone, when he tried to segregate me, I had to pick apart these things one by one. Okay, so for example, with poverty, right? He left me with no money. He wanted me to be dependent. So what did I have to go and do? I'm going to put this on the Dharma side, okay? I had to go become independent. Okay? It didn't matter what it would take. I had to become independent some way, somehow. I had to get my bills in order. I had to get my food in order. I had to go to the bare basics to become independent again. Not to say that people aren't independent. It's just sometimes people throw things at people that, like monkey wrenches in a fine oiled machine. So there was that. The segregation thing, the no friends, the isolation, right? As you guys can see, I've been in my basement, right? So what did I do about that? What I had to do with this in terms of karma is I had to be okay alone. Because again, like I said about these things, when, you know, when people are like, oh, you know, you're alone, and you must feel like this and you must feel like that. The word alone, you could be in a big room full of people and be alone. So the way you approach the aloneness is what matters. Sometimes you're the best friggin' person in the room, you know? So basically what I'm saying is that in order for you to accrue this dharma, you have to work on the things that a karmic or a demonic or a low-leveled person is throwing at you, opponent, whatever. It's the same kind of tactics that you would use in a game, you know, like playing basketball, whatever the case may be. It's a strategy. It's a way to get to the karma part and or the dharma part. So in terms of isolation, things like that, because I was working on my independence and I was okay to be alone, the isolation thing, and also by doing things like this, reaching out through YouTube, reaching out on Facebook, whatever the case may be, that's what, so I opened myself up in a way that I had never done before because of him wanting me to be isolated. Okay? The thing about the crazy, like, oh, you know, somebody like you that prays and reads your Bible and does tarot and does this, you must be crazy. That was the kind of crap he was throwing at me all the time. He was going off spewing that to everybody and whoever had an ear to hear it. And realistically, like I said, because of the other, me striving and reaching God, that one was a little easier. But let's say you're somebody that's struggling with that. Find things like quantum physics, mechanics, quantum physics, quantum mechanics. There's a lot of truth in that people can't refute, especially when it comes to spirituality, dimensionality, frequency, etc. So you gotta kind of, if whatever they're throwing at you about you being crazy, just use science and refute them. Just act like a doctor would and be like, well, I'm coming with these credentials and I have these... You know, so it becomes easier to put that back on this side of things. Let's see. The no friend situation. Because what happens, especially with like narcissists or whatever, they try to isolate you and make sure that you have no friends. They do this by keeping you so bamboozled with your own... like you're always constantly deflecting with a narcissist. Like all the time, like bada bam, bada bing. You know, you're always doing that. So the best way I could say in terms of like the no friend thing is for every several hours or whatever amount of weeks that I spend spiraling because of him, I made sure that I reached out. So that was like, I started reaching out because I knew that friends were going to be somebody and something I really needed in this time. So it was like I had to take an active front with that and go out to meet people that were like-minded, or in order to all get out of this ill will. Like, I hope you understand what I'm doing, okay? So what I'm saying is that Dharma is a facilitation of how you react to what situation you've been put in. Now, the thing is that if you're wondering, like, why is this on the Dharma side? Now, here's a good question. Because this is ill will, and let's say, for example, you believe in poverty, right? You don't actually go on to the dharmic side and become independent. You become sad and you become defeated, and you believe that story. This is also a story, like those stories I was talking about. And if you end up with a poverty mindset and you fall into it, you will probably end up poorer. Okay? The karma you will accrue is to become poorer because you've now focused on your poverty and believed it. The next one, alone. You'll end up searching, like trying to disprove aloneness, not by finding friends or being okay with yourself being alone. You'll actually dwell on the fact that you are alone and actually hermitize to a point that it's like dysfunctional. And you probably will be looking out for every Tom, Dick, and Harry that pays any attention to you online, or you'll start reaching and grabbing when you're in this type of hermetical type of dysfunction. You're just going to be looking for compliments everywhere. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but then you're on the karmic side of things because you're actually accruing things that are feeding into what this person or this place or this thing is trying to make you believe. And I will get back to why ill will is important. Okay. Let's see, for the segregated or the, segregation alone, that's kind of the same thing. Isolated, same thing, but you can break them down further. I like to break them down further, but it's your choice. But let's just say the whole crazy thing. Here on this side, in the karmic side, you will start to doubt everything you know, everything you believe, everything it'll just end up going to the doubt side, and then you'll end up spiraling in the doubt. And then that's what they call a karmic cycle. There's the cycle, there's the wheel, and you can stay in this for a very long time. I did for 7 years times 3. I did the same cycle 3 times, 7 years each. So if there's anyone who knows about the karmic cycles, I'm not saying I'm a professional, but I do have some understanding. And now, like I said, because I'm on the other side, I'm on the dharmic side, right? I'm going to teach you about this. So someone who does not believe these things, all the things that this narcissist or whoever or demonic or lower entity person in your life is spewing at you, if you can change it over, what ends up happening is that the ill will then displace dharma to the attacked, okay? Because the attacked ended up using transmutation to create and accrue dharma, okay? Because I went and became independent. I was okay with being alone. I opened up. I took what would seem like a lacking identifier and I made it into a positive amplifier, if I can put it that way. So because the attackee, sorry, my English may not be proper, but the attacker, yeah, we'll do that. The attacker, this isn't a legal case. The attacker, the person who's, the narcissist that's trying to put all these things is using ill will to do it. They're not doing it out of a good place. They're doing it out of a bad place. Once the person, the attacked, transmutes it into dharma, what will happen is that wheel of dharma starts spinning too. And what happens is that will go and turn into karma for the attacker. So the person that wants you in poverty, they end up getting poorer. The person who ends up wanting you alone ends up having to hermitize. The person that wanted you thinking that you were crazy, people start finding doubt in them. It is the law of karma and dharma. Yin, yang. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is because the minute that Jesus got refuted one more time, he didn't even bother with, he knew what the right course of action is, and that's to forgive, because obviously he didn't want to go into any type of transformation, anything with any karma. So he would have to forgive, and not have to, but he knew better to forgive all the way through to the very. It was more probably of a reverence and a showing to him to see who his friends are. He probably had bets in his own head of who would fall and who would stay. I don't know if he knew that information, and that must have been devastating either way. And how this all ties into Wednesday, because on Wednesday, my apropos ex-partner came to me after trying to do this to me for about, 7 months now. I had to go through all this dharmic work just to breathe, not to fall. And, I can honestly say that my son and God are the two factors of why I'm still standing right now, because all the shit that he put me through would have probably driven most people crazy. Especially when you're just a fresh mom and you've got no money and you've got a dog to take care of, a baby to take care of, you're all by yourself, it's winter time, you don't have a car. There's a lot of things that, can happen mentally, emotionally to a person. So I'm really sure, especially for anybody who's going through these attacks or anything, I know that this works. It helps a lot. Like, trust me, you're not going to feel like you're abounding huge buildings, but you're definitely going to feel a lot better than if you go into a karmic cycle. I'll tell you that much. So why I say this is iconic, and this is why I also want to bring reverence to God and the comedic justice that God can always spread. There came a point in my journey with this whole karma and dharma that I was facing with my supposed narcissistic ex, that God said, let me take the wheel. And so in those cases when you're told to, let God take the wheel, you actually have to let go, relinquish everything, and just let things, you keep your lips shut and you just do it. And this was Father God in this sense. I guess he was laying the smack down for me type of thing. So what ended up happening is that after I send my truth long time ago, I started working on my karma and dharma. I started trying to build myself up, get myself back to God, get myself back to on track. I realized that every single thing that this man wished for me ended up coming to light for them. And on Wednesday, which I think may be the last nail in the coffin that I've been waiting for, my freedom stamp, and I don't want to jinx it, he came to me asking me for a favor. One favor, right? And in this favor, and this is the one thing I want to say out of all of this that he did, right? All of this was so that he could do one major thing, which was sacrifice me. That's why I always say about the sacrificial lambs. He wanted to sacrifice me. So once he became poorer, alone, no job, segregated, people not paying attention to him anymore, isolated because he has no money, because he lost jobs and burned bridges, he comes to me for a favor that could save his ass. Okay, I'm not going to say what favor. I'm just saying this would have saved his ass from a lot. Put it that way. From the end of something huge for him. And I had to sacrifice him to save myself. If that's not poetic justice, I don't know what is. He sacrifices me, and in the end, through his karmic existence, he ends up sacrificing himself. Because there was no way after everything I've been through that I was going to sacrifice me or my son or my mother or anybody attached to me to help him and accrue all his karma. You can forget about it. So I hope that helps. If you guys could see, I hope it helps. I know I'm just learning how to do this. I mean, I'm not learning how to do this per se, but I'm learning how to get it out there to the ethers. I hope this helps, and I hope you guys can work on it with me. It's awesome stuff. So love you, and I hope to see you the next time. Oh, and if you do like what I'm doing, please subscribe. Please subscribe. I need some subscribers. I need some people. I need some peeps. So thanks. Bye.